Guess what day it is? Well, it's actually Friday, not Worship Wednesday. So I decided to have a faith-filled Friday function instead of Worship Wednesday since I didn't get that video out to you. Oh, it's been a rough week. It's been a rough week for me. Especially noticed it on Wednesday. I was just feeling really down and tired. I was sort of sleeping in longer than I usually sleep in. And it just felt bad. After I reflected on it a little bit, I realized that I was legitimately going through grief. Grief isn't only something that happens to you whenever you lose a close family member or a friend. Any sort of massive change in our lives can lead to grief. And my intuition tells me that some of us are going through the same process right now. We're grieving. We may not have lost any of our family members to the COVID 19, praise God, but we have lost the things that we've been used to. We've lost those close interactions with our friends. Time spent in the classroom, time spent just hanging out. We've been isolated. And that almost always leads to some sort of grief. And I'm especially thinking of you, my seniors. I can't even imagine what you're going through. Not being able to celebrate graduation in the same way. The fact that thankfully we're rescheduling prom, but it's not going to be at the usual time. There's just a lot of stuff going on due to the coronavirus. And it's okay to be feeling down a little bit. It's okay to feel a little bit of grief. And as I made this realization last Wednesday that I'm grieving the loss of having you guys in the classroom, that I'm grieving the loss of my seniors this year in a very real way. I'm a geek, so I use my Facebook to get caught up on news articles and readings and all that sort of stuff. And I have a lot of my old college professor friends on Facebook. And they usually share some pretty awesome articles. One of my professors shared a fantastic piece that she wrote herself. And it's part of almost like a new genre that's coming up with this coronavirus. It was a letter to students and sort of what those students are going through and how the instructors understand it and that they sympathize with it. But the way this letter started, it started with a beautiful quote by a Persian poet of the 13th century by the name of Rumi. He's actually an Islamic poet, Sufi Islam. But what he has to say, we can apply to our own Christian context. And here's what it is. I'm going to read it out so I don't mess it up because it's really a beautiful piece. Grief can be the garden of compassion. If you keep your heart open through everything, your pain can become your greatest ally in your life's search for love and wisdom. It's beautiful imagery right there. Grief can be the garden of compassion. I really legitimately think compassion is one of the most beautiful words in the English language. What it basically translates to is suffering with. And one of the things that grief can do is allow us to recognize our shared humanity with others. The fact that we're not going through it on our own, that people are grieving as well. And we can take that as an opportunity to legitimately, authentically suffer with other people. So as we progress through this coronavirus thing, which we have no idea how long it's going to last. Some places are opening back up, but there's always the risk of another spike. But as we make it through these weeks, if you're feeling grief, don't beat yourself up for it. It's a natural thing. Because I say this all the time. Father McGivney, really high school in general, college, isn't just about the education. What high school especially is about is the community. The friendships you share with other peoples, the friendship you share with your teachers, with some of the administration. So take this opportunity in this pandemic that we still find ourselves in, that really shows no signs of stopping anytime soon, and see it as an opportunity to practice compassion, to recognize your grief, and to recognize the fact that other people are grieving too. And that we should suffer with them. And that's how we're going to make it out of this pandemic. I'll leave you with that. Grief can be the garden of compassion. What's your garden going to look like at the end of this coronavirus pandemic? How is this going to change the way that you interact with other people? Is it going to change the way you interact with other people? It's these big questions that are always brought up by events of global proportions like this pandemic. So as usual, I have a song for you. It's by Future of Forestry. We've listened to several of their songs before. But this is it's a beautiful song called Closer to Me. And it's about how in times of struggle, we can realize God's compassion for us. So, and I mean this authentically, I love you guys, each and every one of you. I miss you so much. And, well, sophomores, I can't wait to see you next year. But seniors, golly gee, I don't even know how to address this. But know that I love you. Stay safe, stay strong. We're going to get through this, I promise.